Peace. I just wanted to take a moment and build briefly about the. Oh, is that a white hair? Whoa, yeah. That's a white hair. Gandalf white, like Lord of the Rings. Um, but yeah, I wanted to take a moment and build briefly about the recent controversy surrounding Dr. Wesley Muhammad's comments about Africana Studies in his Breakfast Club interview. Now, if you haven't seen the whole Breakfast Club interview with Dr. Wesley Muhammad, I definitely encourage you to check that out in its entirety because it gives you more context to the comments that were taken often out of context and circulated on social media. And you got a lot of people commenting on what he meant and what he didn't mean that never even saw the whole entire interview. So that is something that I encourage you to do. Go and check out the entire interview. Um, One of the things that he did say about Africana Studies is he didn't feel that it was of as much value as other different studies when it comes to nation building, and how if you wanted to learn that multidisciplinary study of Africana studies, you can actually do that outside of the context of a formal college and university setting without incurring the debt that comes along with it. And I definitely understand that because as a 5%er, we learn 120. 120 or 120 degrees is a multidisciplinary study because we study the science of everything in life. And many of us are qualified to teach Africana studies on a college or university level simply because that is a part of our cultural curriculum as a 5%, and we don't have that debt like Dr. Wesley Muhammad was talking about. So I definitely understand what he meant by that. One of the things that he also talked about is he wouldn't really encourage his children to get a degree in Africana studies. And that's something that is debatable, because you have a lot of people who look at Africana studies as an important part of nation building, and you have others that don't look at that as an important part of nation building. And that is something that's also important to understand. Throughout that interview, the idea or the concept of nation building was not defined. And that is a very broad subject or topic which has various different components to it. And people have various different perspectives on what nation building actually is. Some people may look at the study of various different religions as an aspect of nation building, while you have others that look at the study of horticulture or agriculture or farming as an important part of nation building. What we teach is nation building has various different component parts to it, and by studying the science of everything in life, you can utilize all of these different sciences when it comes to teaching and growing civilization. One of the things that's important to keep in mind that as the 5%, when we learn 120 or we learn our lessons, the first body of lessons that we get is called the student enrollment. And while we're being enrolled as a student, the first thing that we learn is who is the original man. And then we learn who people are who are classified as white. The second thing that we learn is the demographics of who the original man is, as well as the demographics of those who are classified as white. Now, these are based upon census numbers that go back to the 1930s. At that time, we learned that as original people here in the wilderness of North America, we are outnumbered. But then when you look at us globally, we are the global majority. That's the exact opposite of what we learn about those who are classified as white. Those who are classified as white are the majority here in the wilderness of North America. But in terms of the global, they are the minority. They are approximately 10% of the global majority. So when you're looking at those numbers demographically, what does that have to do with Africana studies? Well, because Africana studies is a multidisciplinary study, it covers politics. You learn about chronology or history or her story. You learn about social economics. You learn about culture, all of the different aspects of people, not only of African descent or who are of original people on the continent of Africa, but you learn about us as original people throughout the diaspora. So you're basically learning about the global majority. You're learning about our culture as the global majority. You're learning about our politics, social economics, our chronology or our history or her story. And that is very important because the identity of the human family is changing. When you look at the census data for 2010, you'll notice that by 2043, those who are classified as white here in the wilderness of North America will be the minority. So what does that mean in terms of the global stage and competing on a global level? What that means is you're going to have much more of an opportunity to do trading amongst and negotiate with people that look like you, who are people of color, than these people who are classified as white, because they are becoming the minority. They may have governance over certain resources, institutions, and an economy, but they're still becoming the minority, which means an investment in Africana Studies is an investment in the future. You're going to be in a better position to negotiate because you're going to be learning about the chronology, the history, the her story. You're going to be learning about the politics, social economics, the culture of the global majority, as well as the majority where you live at if you're here in the wilderness of North America. So in regards to that being an important part of nation building, it is when you're looking at things in the future in a way that the identity of the human family is changing. Now, if you're looking at it from the perspective of getting a job in corporate America, or you're looking at it through the lens of, is this study valuable in the eyes of white folks, then you may not see it as valuable, because a lot of them lack vision or foresight in terms of the way that the identity of the human family is changing. So there may be limited opportunities in corporate America to be able to teach cultural competence or multiculturalism or cultural sensitivity in a corporate setting, because you have a background in Africana Studies. It may be limited opportunities to do that. Same thing with various different school districts that may not have an Africana Studies program. There may be limitations when it comes to that, when you're looking at it as a terms of assimilation. But when you're looking at it in terms of the future, this is really an investment in your people, and it is an investment in positioning yourself to be a negotiator in terms of learning about the cultural norms, the mores, about the customs, the traditions, the perspectives in terms of social economics, and all of these different aspects of culture when it comes to being in the position of the global majority that we were before those who are classified as white was even brought to this planet through us. So this was inspiring, it was empowering, it was educational, and gave those of you some of my insight in regards to the value of Africana Studies when it comes to nation building. Yeah, that's definitely an important part of nation building, especially considering the future and the way that the identity of the human family is changing. Interesting enough, some of the people who are also in agreement that Africana Studies is not valuable are steeped in religious studies. And they think that that is valuable in terms of nation building. And, you know, both of those are debatable, but at the end of the day, when you're considering protecting cultural interests, you're talking about building institutions, you're talking about striving to govern resources and to establish an economy, it's important for you to understand your people and their perspectives in terms of coming together and advocating for one common cause to get those things done and to accomplish those tasks. Africana Studies, as a multidisciplinary study, equips you with the ability to negotiate and to be an ambassador for the global majority. So peace, and thanks for checking it out.